Hello everyone. In this video we will be discussing about scripted approvals in Flow Designer. I had shared this flyer on my LinkedIn couple of days ago that I will be releasing this video today on May 15th 10 a.m. To stay updated to latest ServiceNow features and learn about basics of ServiceNow as well, please subscribe to my channel and also connect with me on LinkedIn. Hello everyone and welcome to my ServiceNow channel. My name is Hardit Singh and I am working as ServiceNow Technical Architect. First of all, what are scripted approvals? So scripted approvals in Flow Designers allow you to create custom approval rules that are not available in out-of-the-box approval functionality. If you are building a custom approval rule which is not provided by ServiceNow, we can use a script to write that approval rule, and that is known as scripted approval. Next, why do we need scripted approvals? The answer lies in the first slide, that if the approval rule does not exist out of the box and we need to create a scripted approval, that is where these come in handy to write your own approval rules. Next is how to create scripted approvals. Now to create a scripted approval, you have to go into ask for approval action, and in there under rules you have to write your own rule. In this example you would see that it says that it will be returning the approvers list, and then there is a rule written here: approves rejects any u. So I'll be explaining you about this rule in a second. Just for now, that you can write your own rules here. Next is you can also write your a custom action where you can write your own logic. And why do you want to write a custom action? So you can write it in two conditions. So if your action would be reused again and again in multiple Flow Designers, for example in your organization you will always be following a custom approval rule, or maybe for maximum items, then you can go ahead and use a custom action and write your own approval rules, and then you can reuse that custom action again and again in multiple catalog items. Secondly, if your approval rule is quite complicated, that it is bringing data from some other table or you are comparing data from some other table and then making a decision on that, then also you can go ahead and write a custom action. And if you want to learn more about custom actions and learn from basics about custom action, please click on the top right corner, and I had released this video yesterday, so it will be really helpful for you to even write a custom action, and this will be very useful to you because you will certainly be writing many custom actions when you start using Flow Designer. Now returning back to this rule which was written here: approves rejects any u. So I will take you to an article which is posted by Lisa on ServiceNow community, and here she has defined how can you write these rules. So this is the syntax where you have to write the rule set, rule and who, and then the sysID, or you can write rule set, rule, who and the sysID. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find in any of this documentation on ServiceNow docs, and thanks to this article I was able to implement my requirement. So I will be sharing the link to this article as well in the description. So here you can write the approval rule sets, whether you are writing an approval rule for approve rejects or approve rejects. Then the rules: if anyone approves, if all approves, then you have to write all, and then if all responded and anyone approves, then res, and then if you want certain number of users to approve, then percentage, and then if you want to write a rule for number of users, then you have to use hashtag. Next, who will be approving, whether they will be users or group, then you have to use that accordingly. Finally, we have this example here. All of the examples are not mentioned in this box, so you can build your own script for this. So for example, if you want to write a script for approved by any user, you can write approves any u. So approve means if it will be an approval type, and any means any of them approves, and u means it is for user. And then you can pass multiple sysids or even a single sysid, and the approval will be sent to all of those users or the approvers. So in this case, if any one of these approvers approve the ticket, it will be automatically approved. Next is approved by 50% of the group. So the script is again approves and then 50%, and then if you want to write maybe 75%, 80%, that is also possible. And then the group, and then we can give the group sys id in the brackets. And there are many examples here given. You can use either these or you can build your own, which I have used in our demo as well. So you will be seeing a demo where I have created a very complicated requirement, and we will be writing a custom action for that, which will be coming in a minute. Returning back to my slides. So either you can write the script here, approves, rejects any u, and then you can either write an action. So in this use case which we will be building for scripted approvals, we will be checking the requested for catalog item, that who has requested this catalog item and which country that user belongs to. So if the user belongs to India, then we will be sending the approval to the manager, and the type of approver would be user. And if the country is USA, then we will be sending approval to RMA approvers, which is type of group. So it's a approval group defined in the assignment group table, which is out of the box as well. So my ServiceNow system is completely out of the box. So whatever I am using, except the managers, everything is out of the box. Next is for Canada, it would be sent to CAV approval, which is also a group type of approver. And if the user belongs to some other location other than these, then the approval should be sent to manager's manager, and this is of the type user. I will go to ServiceNow in Flow Designer, and we will be building a custom action. I'm in my ServiceNow and I will type Flow Designer here, and when I open this screen will open, and you would see I have already written a custom action called location approvals. So just to save time for both of us, I have written the custom action and the flow designer already, and I will be explaining step by step that what I have written. First of all, in the inputs, I've created user ID, and it is of the type sys ID. So this custom action would be receiving an input from the flow designer, the sys ID of the requested for user. And then I added a custom action step where I have again created an input variable called user ID, and then I dragged and dropped this user ID from right here. Moving to the output, I created one label called approver sys ID. So this would be storing what would be the sys ID of the approvers. Either if it's a group or if it's a user, it will be storing that sys ID. And the backend name was given like this, approver sys ID 1. And I kept the type as string and made it mandatory. And finally in the outputs, I created one output. If I click on this edit output, you would be able to see approver sys ID, and the name was approver sys ID again. And then I had mapped this to the outputs from the output variable, and I had dragged and dropped this approver sys ID here. Now moving to the most interesting part, that is the script. So according to our requirement, we had to choose the approvals according to the location, or you can say according to the country. I created a variable called group sys ID, which we'll be using later. So I will be glide recording the sys user table, and I will be querying that table using the sys ID and using inputs.user ID. And this user ID would contain the sys ID of the user who has requested the catalog item, which we are getting from here. So I'm using this variable user ID here to get the sys ID and comparing it and querying it, and then doing a gr.next, and then I'm getting the country for this user using gr.location.country. I have used dot walking here. The location field is created in the user table, but I have to get the country of that user, so that is present in cmn underscore location table, and that's the reason I am dot walking to the country field in the location table. I will quickly show you the user table here so that you have an idea about how I am navigating to the country. So for example, if you go for able tutor, and here you would see the location is given as SHS Quadra, and if I go into this table and open this record, you would see the country as Brazil, and you would see the table is CMN underscore location, and that's the reason why I use the dot walking. Then I'm checking if country equals to India, so I will be receiving this as a string, and then I will do a comparison on the country. So if country equals to India, then I'm setting the approver's sys ID, that is this variable which is defined here, and then I will be writing the script here which we read from the blog. So approver rejects any user. So if any of the users approve or rejects, it would be approved or rejected accordingly. So I will be passing the manager sys ID because that was our requirement in the PPT here. So if the location is India or the country is India, it should go to the manager. So we will be sending that approval to the manager. And if the country is USA, so I'm hard coding here the RMA approval group. So in your case, you might have to query the sys user group table and do that accordingly, or maybe you have to pick from a system property. Just to save the time, I just have hard coded this RMA assignment group here, and then I'm using approve rejects any G. So you would see here it was user, so I used U, and for approval groups I used G, and then I'm passing the group sys ID. And similarly for Canada, I'm using the approver as cab approval, and it is also of type group. So approver rejects any G and then passing the group sys ID of the cab approval. And finally, if the user doesn't belong to any of these locations or doesn't have any location, then it will go into the else part and it will go to manager's manager. So I am again using the same rule for the user approver rejects any user, and then gr.manager.manager. So this is again using the dot working. I will run couple of tests here to see if this is working fine or not. If I click on test here, I would have to pass the user ID, that is the sys ID of the user. And for example, let's pass the sys ID of able tutor. I will copy the sys ID, and then it should return me the manager's manager sys ID because the location is Brazil or the country is Brazil and it doesn't match with any of our conditions. So we should ideally be getting the Bud Richmond's sys ID. I will paste here able tutor sys ID and I will run test, and as soon as it will run, I will go here and you would see the sys ID of the Bud Richmond would be given here. I will quickly go to this Bud Richmond user record and I will copy the sys ID to check if it is giving me the correct sys ID or not. So I will just paste it here, and it starts with 46 and ends with 7, and this is pretty much the same sys ID which it is returning. So our conditions are working fine. And now to use this custom action into a flow designer, we'll have to define a flow designer as well. So I will cancel this and I will go to the home page where I have already defined the flow designer called location flow approvals. And here you would see the trigger as service catalog. If you want to learn basics about flow designers, please click on the top right corner. And here I am calling that custom action which we had built called location approvals. And here I am passing the sys ID of the requested for, which I will be getting from the requested item. So I expanded requested item, and here I searched for the requested for, and then I expanded it again and used the sys ID of that user. So I just dragged and dropped the sys ID from here till here, and then clicked on done. So it will be taking input of the user ID who is requesting the catalog item, and it would be returning the approver sys ID here, which is given as output. So approver sys ID. So for that I will be using ask for approval, and then dragging and dropping this approver sysID, which contains the rule whether it will be a user type of approval or a group type of approval, and also who will be the approver. So all that would be defined in the script which we had defined, or just for your refresher, this is the script it will contain. Now to test this, we will go to maintain items, and I have already created a catalog item on which we can perform the test. So I will be using the user system administrator through which I am logged in, and you can see the location as Hyderabad. So that means it is located in India, and according to our rule, the approval should be sent to the manager, who is Beth Anglin. So we will quickly do a test. I will go to maintain items and click here. I will just sort this, and custom action approval demo. This is the catalog item which I had created, and I will click on try it. And I did not create any variable, so that is why it is coming empty. And I will click on order now. I will go to the request. I will go to the RITM, and here if I scroll down and if I go to approvers, you would be seeing that Beth Anglin has been assigned the approval. If we go to flow context, nothing would be visible as of now because we did not switch on the reporting on this. If you want to learn how to switch on the reporting on flow designers, please click on the top right corner. So when you switch on the reporting, you would be able to see what was the input sent, what was the output received. So everything would be given there. I will quickly go to this flow designer and I will click on flow reporter settings, and I will set it as on. So I am now switched on the reporting on this flow designer as well, and we will do a quick test using another user. I will go to the user table and we will search for any user who belongs to USA location. So you can see Adla, she belongs to Miami. So I will just log in as Adla, and we will be running a quick test using her ID. So I am not logged in as Adla. I will open a new tab and I will paste the URL of the catalog item here, and I will click on order now, and I will copy and paste this request ID, and I will log out from here, or I will end the impersonation, and I will go to the request table and search for the request which was just created. So this is the latest one which was created, and I will go to the RITM, and if I scroll down here, you would see a group approval was generated for the RMA approvers, and there are two approvers in that, and the approval has been sent to Fred Luddy and David Liu. So our flow designer is working as expected, and if I click on flow context, we should be able to see the reporting here as well now, because we had switched on the reporting. So it did not show that error which it was showing us previously. And if I click here on location approvals, which is the custom action, here you would see the user ID. This would be the user ID of Adel user, and it received the output as approves, rejects any G. So that means the group, and this group ID is of RMA group. So you would see how flexible is ServiceNow in handling any type of approvals. If it is not defined even out of the box, you cannot use the out of the box approval rules. You can go ahead and create your own approval rules and make it as custom actions, and you can reuse them again and again, so you don't have to write the same script repeatedly. If you have any questions on scripted approvals, and if you want me to create anything specific for you, just let me know in the comments or just drop me an email, and I will try to respond to you as soon as possible. And if you like this video or if you have learned something new, please ensure to like this video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.